Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Forgotten Generation podcast, hosted by Troy Njenje Mbanga. This podcast is about amplifying young people's voices and the journeys they're on. Today's episode is a very special episode as part of a special TFG collab with Sports for All, and I'm with Eden, the host of Sports for All. This is a Sports Day episode.
Thank you so much, Troy. I'm so excited for this. So, do you want to kind of introduce yourself to everybody? Obviously, people know who you are already, but for those who maybe don't, do you want to tell everybody like your favourite sport as well?
Yes, I'm Troy. Hello, podcast host, and I'm a SEND activist. And I do a lot of work nationally and locally for young people to have a say and to have a voice. And my favourite sport, I got to say, is swimming. I love swimming so much. I do a lot of swimming when I'm not doing podcasting, which is always fun.
I'm Eden. I'm the host of Sports for All, also a youth advocate and also a university student. And my favourite sport has just got to be taekwondo. Like, it's my childhood, and yeah, I love it so much. I love watching it. I love doing it when I was able to, and yeah, it's just so much fun.
I absolutely love that. And I'm so excited about this episode today.
Me too. What is your social action and sports journey?
Yes, and my social action for young people with special needs and disabilities to have inclusion and youth voice. But my sports journey starts at high school, and we did the lovely Sports Day stuff every year, and we kind of did like running, like relays, and people always thought I was like Usain Bolt. They always said, like, Troy, you're like Usain Bolt, you're a fast runner. And I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of a fast runner because I used to run so fast, but faster than everyone else. And that kind of made me like running. And then I started doing swimming lessons and like a few like years back. That was kind of scary. Swimming, like I kind of swim on my own. So I had like swimming lessons, and I got used to the water from the shallow end to the deep end. And then I kind of had that confidence, and now I'm a good swimmer, which is lovely. And I think that confidence for me had to happen in swimming and also the running, to be comfortable in doing it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think like swimming's one of those things that you kind of get over time. It comes a bit easier to you. And like I know Henry would be really proud of you for starting learning swimming. But yeah, I remember like when I started learning how to swim as well, I was quite a bit older as well. So I was kind of like quite self-conscious about it, I remember, because a lot of my friends could kind of already do it. But it's such an important life skill, and I think like so many people should really learn how to swim if they're able to. But yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Tell me more about your sports journey. I would love to know.
Yeah, 100%. So when I was younger, I did like loads of different sports. I did gymnastics, I did ballet, I did circus, so like aerial sports like trapeze and that kind of thing. It's really cool. And then I started taekwondo when I was about to turn 10, and I did that from when I was 10 to 17. I used to train like 2 to 3 times a week, used to go away at the weekends and compete, take part in big seminars with like hundreds of people and like learn from masters and stuff. And then I started to learn how to like coach and judge and that kind of thing. So it became really a huge part of my life. And then unfortunately I had to stop it when I became unwell with long COVID. So obviously huge change and shift. But I think now I've been involved in social action and being able to be involved in sports charities like the Youth Sports Trust, League Leaders, and also host my podcast, allowed me to continue to connect with sport and kind of get to know other people who love sport as much as me, and kind of bring that conversation back in my life, because I was really missing it, and it was like a really hard few years not being able to talk about it and not really feeling connected to it. So it's been really nice to have that come back in, thanks to the podcast as well. So yeah.
I love that. And it just like sounds so amazing, your sports journey, and then now you got your own podcast talking about sports.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's been really like nice to still be able to use the skills that I've learned from being involved in sport and like bring it into my social action and like my advocacy. And obviously it's like not easy sometimes talking about sport all the time because I'm not able to do it anymore and I miss it a lot, but it's been nice to have that connection still. It's been so important to me. So yeah.
Oh, so good, isn't it? And I always think that it's just so amazing how like you've done this and how you started like and your sports journey, and now you're talking about sports and having other people talking about sports as well, which I think is so remarkable. What was your experience at primary school for like a sports day, but also secondary school?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really enjoyed sports in primary school. Especially like sports day. There was this really cool race, and I don't really remember a lot about it, but I remember its name, and it was called the Superstar Relay. And like that, like just the name of that just says everything. I did that every year, and yeah, that was my favorite. I remember like going through tunnels and like throwing things. It was like a bit of like an obstacle course kind of thing. So that was really fun. And then I always quite enjoyed doing the egg and spoon race as well. But there was always, I remember like the most popular one in my year in primary school was the skipping. Like everybody used to fight over getting to be able to do the skipping. Really, like looking back on it now, I'm like, why did everybody like that one so much? But that was like the favorite for everybody else. But I didn't mind them doing that. I was like, I'll just do the superstar relay because, you know, I am a superstar and all that. Jokes. So yeah, I have really nice memories of it. Like it was just like a fun day off class and like out of school, and all the parents used to come and like people's siblings used to come. My primary school was quite chaotic. I think quite a lot of people's primary schools were probably quite chaotic, but we just used to like make up like little chants and like hand claps and stuff, and there was like sometimes the parents got involved, so it was like a parents relay or like, you know, so but my primary school was really encouraging of like being involved in sport and getting outdoors. Like we had indoor PE and outdoor PE, and then random like lessons of PE. Like we were supposed to have PE twice a week, but a lot of my teachers were just like, nope, everybody, let's go out now. We're going to just play for a bit. And we had like big grassy area. Like my primary school is really close to my house, and there's like really big grassy areas. So it was like, yeah, so much fun. And then in secondary school was a bit different. I think sports day in secondary school was a bit more like serious. I remember like there was always people who took it really seriously, and it just wasn't as fun. Like the parents didn't come, and like sometimes we had to go to class before, so it just wasn't as good. You did get ice cream though, which was nice, but it just wasn't as fun. And I think, yeah, there wasn't as many cool like races to get involved in. It was kind of just like you had to be good at running or you had to be good at the high jump, and then if you weren't good at either of those things, then you just weren't able to get involved. But yeah, what about you? What was your experience of sports day like in primary and secondary?
Well, I like exactly like you said with the egg and spoon race. That for primary school was my highlight. Love the egg and spoon race. Like every single year, I was like, "Can I do the egg and spoon race?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I think it was just so lovely back at primary school. There's just lots of like buzz about it. And but at secondary school, that's when it all went downhill. Lots of people didn't like sports day. Lots of people decided actually, you know what? And it's not for me. I want to really try and get out of it. There was times where I wanted to get out of it. I was like, "Miss, I'm not feeling well. Oh, Miss, can I actually, help out instead?" And be like, no,
Yeah.
no, do sports day.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, I remember people in my school didn't want to do the 800 relay. Like, nobody wanted to do it. So I always used to make sure that I signed up to do the 100 one. I'm not a fast runner. I've never have been. But I'm not going to be the last person, like, the person who's going to have to do the 800 because nobody else wants to do it. So I always had to put my name in that. Nobody ever wanted to do the 800. So it was always the people who got picked, like, who didn't put their name down quick enough. So I always had to get in there before everybody else. So what do you think the pros and cons are of PE in primary and secondary school?
Pros, I think, would say for primary school because it is part of the curriculum, and you kind of like do different things like the gymnastics. In primary school, like you go to the hall and there's like those ladders, those I don't know what they're called, but like something that you kind of like use like go up.
Like the climbing frame thing?
Yeah, that. You go to swimming lessons as well. You sometimes will go on a coach and go to like a swimming pool. So there is some good things, and also you go outside as well sometimes to actually do PE lessons, which is always fun. But you also do rounders, my favourite. PE, I would say rounders.
Yes, I love rounders too. So good. Yeah. And it didn't even matter if it was raining, it was just still like fun, I feel like.
Also do different things like cross country as well, like run a lot. Sometimes I was tired doing cross country. I think I did cross country once, and I was like, no, I can't do it.
It was my least favourite cross country. I was like, no.
Yeah, cross country. No, let's put that aside.
Yeah.
But it is very much like a bit more physical, I think I would say, more than primary school. When you're in secondary school in PE, it's more expectations, and teachers are very strict, like especially when you don't have your PE kit. Very much like, you have to go to lost property, or if you don't have it, because you can't fit it, then you kind of get in trouble. Very, very strict, more in the secondary, more than the primary school aspect. And what about you?
Yeah, I am the same as you. I really loved it in primary school. I think the like gymnastics equipment and like that kind of thing was really fun. Obviously rounders. I think just being outdoors, and there were so many different kinds of sports and different things to try. Like We had a basketball tournament one year in our primary school, and another time we had tug of war. I loved that so much, and everybody thought I was going to be so good at it, even though I was tiny. They were like, "You do taekwondo, you should be like really strong and like win for the team." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I've never done this before, so I don't know about that." But I think our class did quite well in it anyway. My primary school class wasn't the most like athletic in the world. But it was just fun. Like, there was not a lot of pressure. Like, everybody just kind of joined in and got involved. I think secondary school, like you've said, like it was a different story. I think there was a lot more pressure. Again, I loved doing gymnastics in secondary school. I went to the gymnastics club, and also in my GCSE years we got to do Zumba, which was like really quite different and quite fun. Like a nice way to get away from like the pressure of revision and like exams and stuff, because everybody was a bit stressed, so that was quite nice. But I think in secondary school the sports variety was quite limited, and like a lot, if you didn't fit into like a certain niche, like if you weren't a hockey player, if you weren't like the best in netball, there wasn't really a lot for you. And my school was really sporty, but it was only really sporty in 2 sports. So if you didn't really fit into that, then kind of you maybe didn't feel like you were the most included. And I definitely didn't feel like I was that sporty in secondary school, but like looking back on it, I did my taekwondo outside of sport. I just didn't do the stereotypical secondary school sports, put that in quotes. And I also think being like a teenager as well can be really tricky, especially when you're like experiencing like puberty and like hormones, and like as a girl, like that can be really hard as well. I know a lot of people like have a lot of issues around like their appearance, and sports equipment and kits and stuff aren't always the most accessible for people. So I think that can make kind of getting involved in secondary school sports and like sports as a teenager quite tricky, especially also that confidence piece as well. I think people can really struggle with their confidence a lot in their teenage years. I know for me, being involved in taekwondo, like it was a really good thing for my confidence, but I know that it's really tricky to get yourself out there. So that kind of leads me on nicely to the next question. Do you think sports days are inclusive and accessible for young people?
There is like some goodness in it with inclusivity, and especially for like primary school. But secondary school, maybe not as much, because I just think there's a lot of like pressure, like we said, about and being part of it and actually doing a lot of the sports. Sometimes you kind of want to do something easy when you do sports day. And yes, it's brilliant to get out and to like and have fresh air and stuff like that. You kind of feel like there's so much pressure that you need to win something, but you need to maybe win this medal, win the certificate or whatever you get, or maybe chocolate. And there is those like times where you feel that way. Sometimes I feel like it's hard on teachers as well to like and deal with it all. Some teachers who are not really as sporty.
Yeah. 100%. And I think also like sometimes they don't necessarily have the training to make it inclusive and accessible for young people, especially those who have like disabilities and like that kind of thing. Like I don't think it's always the most accessible and inclusive, and I don't think it's always it's not necessarily their fault. It's just the way maybe the school system's kind of the school is, or the lack of training, lack of support available. So yeah, no, 100%.
Exactly, because I just think it's just so hard for them. I can remember actually when I was at high school trying to get out of sports day because I was like, you can't do it, I don't want to do it. And they're like, Troy, you have to do it. And it's part of the whole day. Like, you're not going to be in lessons all day. So you got to go out. I'm like, do I have to go out? Can I actually just sit down and do something else? I think there's a lot of pressure in that, and especially with those who have those disabilities, because maybe they don't like to be in crowds and go out and do it. And maybe they just want to be in a quiet room.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're so right. I think it's like you kind of have to talk with them and see, okay, maybe why are they not wanting to participate, and like maybe think of what are the barriers. Like I know sports day is a completely different change in routine. Lots of people, noisy, different sensory textures, and you know, like you're out in the grass, you're out maybe in like a tunnel, you know, like not normal stuff that happens every day. So I think being aware of that, and also being aware of like young people not maybe having the confidence as well, and like maybe some events they just feel don't fit for them, don't fit for their needs, don't fit for their body. So yeah, no, 100%.
Yes, exactly. And also it actually makes me think actually maybe schools might need to actually be more better in that, and actually find maybe like a different option to do sports day. And maybe it doesn't need to be sports day. Maybe have like something else that fits that criteria.
Absolutely.
You know, and maybe it could be like a swimming day.
Yeah.
Badminton day or Rounders day.
Yeah, exactly. I remember my school, we went to like one of the local leisure centres and they were doing like an open day type thing. And they did like lots of kind of different sports. Like they did gymnastics, they did, I think there was like people demonstrating trampolining. And then there was also like water polo and stuff like that. And I was like, this is really good for people who like maybe don't want to do the sports that are necessarily always in school. So I think there's different ways to kind of get active and stay active, even if it's not necessarily having to participate in sports day every year, because that's not always the best way for people.
That is so true. I love that one. How would you actually and encourage young people to get involved in sport? Maybe like, I do some exercise maybe a day, because there's so many young people who might not, like to be physical. But is there any like tips that you could give to maybe a young person to actually go out a bit more?
Yeah, no, 100%. This is such an important question. I know that like for me, I wasn't really always that into PE or sport at school, in that school environment, just because I didn't feel like there was a lot that I really enjoyed all the time. And also I didn't always feel that good at things. And I think you kind of get put off by the competitive nature of the school. And a lot of schools, I know mine did, really just focus on hockey and netball. And if you're not good at those, it just feels like maybe you aren't made for sports, or maybe you aren't sporty at all. And I think it's just really important that you remember that there is sports out there for you. I think it's just important that you find a way that works for you, that you can move your body. Maybe it could be really quite different to maybe what you expected, but I think also just not being put off by maybe not feeling the most sporty, or maybe if you didn't enjoy PE at secondary school, I think don't be put off by that. I think you can always come back to sport later on in life as well, and like try ones that maybe you didn't try when you were in secondary school, or maybe you did try and it wasn't for you at that time. I feel like that's quite a big thing, and I know quite a lot of my guests come on and they talk about being involved in sport at a specific kind of time in their life, and then maybe the teenage years, as I kind of talked about, maybe they kind of lost that love for it, and then coming back to it. That's just really important, that you can always come back to it. And I think also just trying not to compare yourself to other people, and also potentially finding a way within the sport that might fit for you. So for example, I loved taekwondo. I loved everything about it. I loved everybody in it. I just loved it, and I still love it and miss it a lot. But competing wasn't necessarily the thing that was my favourite part of it. My favourite part of it was coaching and working with the younger children. And my coach from when I was 15 gave me the opportunity to do that. So I think it's finding in the sport maybe your kind of niche and your kind of specific interest. Like maybe you don't want to be the next Olympian or on the British squad, and that's okay. But maybe finding something within your club or within the sport that you feel that is something that really lies with you and really is where you feel that gets the best out of you. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. It can be even like Zumba, some dance, at home. And it doesn't need to be like somewhere far, and and even if you don't like to do gym, because I don't like to do gym, so I actually do like a gym at home instead. So also try and get out and do some walks. I love my walks. I love my morning walks, my afternoon walks sometimes. So there's so many different things that you can do. And it doesn't need to be something that is so much pressure for you. It can be something that's easy for you.
Yeah, definitely. It's just so important that you find something that works for you. And I think maybe it might take a little while for you to find that, but finding it will be so, so important. So kind of the last kind of question, I can't believe we've talked so much, as it always does with us. What advice would you give to a young person who might want to get involved in sport, and maybe, okay, we'll throw social action in there too, but might struggle to get involved and might not have the confidence?
I would actually say, even if it's hard, there's always a way to do it. Like, it doesn't need to be a big thing, and it doesn't need to be a small thing. Like, by you doing it for yourself and how you want to do it can really make that impact. So it can be maybe doing like a dance that you want to do, and it can be maybe doing walks you want to do, or it can be doing like running you want to do. So I think just doing it for you, but focus on what brings you joy in doing the sport and what makes you happy. And for social action, and do the things that you do and that joy, and do the things that you want to make that difference to. And it doesn't need to be a big thing. You have to do it for yourself. It's for your passion. You've got to be passionate about it. And if you're not passionate about it, then it doesn't work. So you make it your own, bring some joy into it. What about you, Eden?
It's such a good answer. I love that so much. I always love hearing this answer on my own show. I feel like it just like, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so true. I love it. It's so inspiring. I think you're right. I think for social action, like starting small, like just really important, and taking that first step. It can be so hard. Like I know both of us have been there. It's so hard to start, but it can unlock so many different opportunities. And even if you're not the most confident person, like I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm the most confident person, and I definitely wasn't when I started, but I think that kind of comes over time, and taking that first step is so important. With sport, I think it's just that kind of point I was talking about earlier, that maybe school sport isn't for you, but trying to find something that works for you and kind of fits for your life and for your lifestyle and your passion and your enjoyment. I think that is so important, and it might take a little bit of time. I know that I tried a lot of sports over the years, and some I enjoyed, some maybe I didn't enjoy, some that I might have been good at, and some I was probably not very good at. But eventually I found Taekwondo, and being part of my club and being part of the Taekwondo kind of universe, probably being one of the best things that's been part of my life in the 22 years that I've been alive. So my advice would be, I think, keep looking for something that fits for you, keep trying new things, and don't give up on yourself, because you'll definitely find something that helps you feel like you belong and brings you lots of joy, like we were saying. So yeah, I think just keep looking and just keep trying.
Oh, I love that. That is also inspiring as well.
Thank you.
And it was such a great way to end this episode and this incredible special on Sports Day. So thank you so much, Eden, for coming on today and just talk about, sports. Just have fun in this episode, and I hope listeners took away, what we have said today, because I think it's so important to like anyone who does sport and also social action.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've had the best time. I knew I would, but yeah, thank you so much, Troy, for doing this collab with me. It's been so great, and I think we've given quite a lot of advice that people can hopefully take away and implement. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Oh, thanks so much. It's actually been a pleasure. And you can also follow Eden on Sports for All. And of course, you can follow me here on the Forgotten Generation podcast. Thanks for listening to the podcast episode. This is a Beaver Change Media Network production. Please support the podcast by subscribing and rating the podcast. I'd love to hear what you like and what could be better for future episodes. If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram and @Troy, and also on X, _Troy. Tune in to next week's episode.